Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, we finally got some rain here. We haven't had a whole lot in quite a while, pretty much most of the summer and throughout the fall. We did have one day a few weeks ago that it rained decent within that day, maybe an inch or so. But today, most of the surrounding areas got anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5 inches. Did get some high winds and some thunder. They were saying we could get some hail and tornadoes, and there were a few places that got some hail, but no tornadoes that I am aware of anyways here in the Ozarks. But we did get some good rain, so not flooding, so that's good too. Just a good heavy soaker all day long. So nothing to complain about in that respect. I know some of you are going to say, hey, send some of that here because we need it. I get it. And we've needed it desperately also. So anyways, just thought I'd share that with you. Today was the big No Kings protest day. And they are saying now that it looks to be the largest nationwide protest ever in American history, with somewhere in the neighborhood of at least 5 to 6 million people participating. Plus, that it happened in several other countries, several other European countries. I think Australia, several countries had protests also, and some of these were huge. If you saw any of the pictures or videos of them, I mean, New York, Boston, Chicago, all the big cities, and then numerous small cities. Lots of small cities had them. Even a couple cities here in the Ozarks had some No Kings protests. Now, they by and large, they were not violent at all. There's a couple of reports of, MAGA counter-protesters kind of getting involved in their protest, and, some pushing and shoving, and maybe a couple of face punching and stuff like that. But I've not seen any reports of any kind of significant violence of any sort. And of course, the MAGA right is, poking fun and criticizing certain things, that it was kind of boring, that it just, it ended at a certain time and everyone went home and a lot of people looked old and white and all this kind of stuff. But I think it's more than just ignoring. I mean, it's showing that there are still millions of people that are willing to get out and protest what's going on. And I'm not saying that I condone and support their agendas or anything, although I did see in the pictures and videos I saw a lot of releasing the Epstein list posters, and so in that respect I can agree with that. But I don't think it's something to just completely discount, because it shows that there is an increase of people that are speaking out of what's going on, and who knows what's going to happen. It could all just be a big psyop, right? Because pretty much everything is. I know a lot of people are saying, well, they were all paid. I don't believe that for a minute. Was the organizers paid? Well, of course, that's typically true on both the left and the right. The January 6th stuff that was going on at the Capitol several years ago, there were certain organizers at the top level that got paid to be there. But to say that all 5-6 million of them received a paycheck to show up is absurd. I mean, that's $1 billion or more dollars, depending on how much they would get paid for people to show up and to protest all day. So I'm not buying that. But it did happen. No violence that necessarily to speak of. But it shows that our country is just becoming more and more divided. Now here, I want to take a little quick spin on this. See what you think, because I got to thinking about this today. What if this was, organized and paid for by rich billionaires like everyone is suspecting, but it wasn't from the left? Or if it was from the left, people like George Soros and stuff, they were doing it in cooperation with top tier people at the right. And here's why I'm saying this. So the protest was no kings, right? And the implication is that Donald Trump is acting as a king, right? Well, all day long, tons of the MAGA supporter people online, all the social media influencers, they're now posting and praising and saying that, yeah, they like Donald Trump as the king. They want him as the king. He is the king. Showing pictures of him and AI videos of him with a crown and a robe and royalty and all this kind of stuff. So I know this is a crazy twist, and I'm not saying this is necessarily true, but this is what's happening. Because the far left, this is what's so crazy with this, two-party system that's all two wings of the same bird and two sides of the same coin. Oh, this side doesn't like this. Well, that means this side has to like it, right? This side's protesting against this. Then this side is absolutely has to be for it, whether they're, it's kind of like the Epstein thing. The whole Epstein file, release the file, that used to be a conservative, conservative, libertarian, MAGA thing. Well, now it's a left thing because the MAGA people are like, Trump's not going to, it's okay because Trump says it's fake and it's okay. Now the left is all on it. Well, now that the left is saying that Donald Trump is acting like a king and got get rid of him, now the conservative right is saying, yeah, he is a king and we want him to be king and he's a great king and he should just keep on being king after his president's office, term is done. So it's absurd. I get it. But I want to think that there may be something there where I could see that Donald Trump and his administration and his people saying, well, your people now support the idea of you being a king and a dictator, so let's just go with it. I don't know. Just something to think about. Something else is happening today that is being overshadowed in the news by the No Kings protest. And that is what's going on in Venezuela. So, first thing, the State Department issued a no-travel order and a evacuation order and all this for U.S. citizens in Trinidad. Now, Trinidad is an island country just off the coast of Venezuela. And no one has heard about that. That's not been in the news, nothing. So why? Why that country? And it's really right off the coast of Venezuela. So that was the first thing. There was the last couple of days, a few days ago, there was reports of B-52s flying off the coast of Venezuela. And now there's been some confirmation that not only did happen, but there's been flight plans and stuff seen and released that there's going to be more B-52s and other possible bombing planes that will be flying in and around Venezuela. And then the belief is that it's not a bluff. It's the real thing. And then the commandant of the Marines today spoke, and he was talking to the troops, to the Marines. And he said, listing all these wars that they've been involved in. And he says, and there will be more wars. He says, trust me, there will be. We will be at war again. And it wasn't just it didn't come across as just a casual, and in the next war that the Marines are in, it was like in the next war that he's like, and trust me, there will be another one. Indicating that maybe he knows a little something that it's getting close. So it appears as if that is happening, that is becoming much more real time. Also, at the same time, Russia, Iran, and China sent a joint letter to the United Nations stating that Iran is no longer part of the nuclear, anti-nuclear proliferation treaty or whatever, that they're no longer bound by any of that, and that they will now start producing whatever they want. Israel and President Trump in the last few days has said that they have evidence that Iran is in fact rebuilding rapidly its nuclear capabilities. So that also would indicate that we and Israel is probably going to be attacking Iran soon. At least that's what it looks like. I mean, it's following a similar pattern as before, back in May or whenever when we attacked them. But it looks as if that's going to happen. Now, Iran is definitely, at least it appears, that Iran is much more prepared this time than they were last time. So we'll see how that happens. I said, I believe it was several days ago, a week or so ago, and I'm not saying this is going to happen at all. I want you to think about it, because whether you agree or disagree with us flying bombing missions in places like Iran and Venezuela, the United States has done that kind of stuff for years, for decades. That's one of the things that Putin and Russia is complaining about, is that the United States just goes around and they just bomb places, And not even starting wars necessarily. Oh, this guy's doing something bad, we'll just go drop a few bombs on him and leave. I mean, we've done that in multiple countries for decades, right? And we've done that because, well, there's never really been a country, at least the ones that we do this with, that have the military capabilities of really knocking down one of our planes. They're usually pretty safe. I understand that there's always some threat, but not too many countries in the past have been able to knock down a B-2 bomber, stealth bomber, right? Or even one of our newer, the F-35 stealth fighter jets. But here's the thing. Technology is changing rapidly. And China's technology is changing rapidly. And so is Russia's technology. Ukraine is now saying that only about 6% of our Patriot missiles are even effective against Russia's newest missile systems that are able to avoid, the missile in air is able to move and turn around and duck and all this kind of stuff, almost like a fighter jet, able to avoid getting struck. China claims that they have AI controlled laser systems that can take down a stealth fighter and a stealth bomber. I don't know that they've ever tested it, but they make the claim that they have that. And then, of course, Iran has some pretty decent tech, especially when it comes to hypersonic missiles. And as top tier as we believe that something like the B-2 bomber is, it's 30 plus year old technology. It really is. And its stealth capabilities are based on that old technology that's only using radio waves to detect a plane. Nowadays, it's different. They're using different technologies, especially with AI-driven technologies. So there's this ever-increasing possibility that one of our big, awesome, beautiful planes could get shot down. And so what's going to happen when that happens? I don't know. I don't know the answer. But I think it would take a little bit of the wind out of America's sails by believing that we can just fly our B-2s wherever they want to in the world, because that's always been the belief. That because we have this B-2 bomber, no one else has anything like that. We can fly anywhere in the world and just bomb anyone and leave, and we're completely untouched, right, in that way. What happens when that's taken away? It could affect a lot of things. It could affect our U.S. dollar. For all of you that say that, well, the U.S. dollar's value is in our military capabilities. Well, one of the pinnacle things of our military capabilities is, in fact, the B-2 stealth bomber that can fly anywhere in the world very quickly and bomb any site without being detected and get away, and no one knows about it until everyone realizes the blast has gone off. What if that changes? At some point, it seems inevitable with the increasing technology that this old stealth technology will become obsolete. I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that at some point it will become. It's kind of like an aircraft carrier. Aircraft carriers are becoming obsolete when you're looking at all this new technology out there. In fact, fighter jets themselves will become obsolete. Tanks. Look at their tanks. We these amazing tanks, these German and English, and then our tanks over in Ukraine being destroyed by drones that cost a few $100 or a few $1,000s to build. Technology is changing. It's changing a lot of stuff, and it could definitely change our place in the world when it comes to war. So among all these things, the possibility of war in Venezuela and another strikes in starting a war up in Iran, there's that to think about. So anyways, I thought I would throw that stuff out at you. Also, just one last thing on it. The United States is saying that they're seeing signs that, excuse me, that the peace deal may be falling apart there with Hamas and Israel. That Hamas is violating and have plans to continue and to violate the peace deal further. So it doesn't look like it's really staying. And of course that's going to mean that the United States and Israel is going to have to start back up and re-increase, attacks. I mean, will the United States be involved? Indirectly, we have been all along. Could we become involved directly? Possibly so. Because this was Trump's peace deal, so he's going to take it more personal. So we'll see. Anyways, all of this is being said that we just need to keep getting ready, right? You know that. I shouldn't have to tell you at this point. We just need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing ourselves. And as the economy's getting worse and as the dollar is losing value and all this kind of stuff, it's nothing more than a sign to do it faster. There was a report came out in the last couple of days showing that the dollar is used more now in the world than ever before. And so a lot of people are like, oh, see, the dollar isn't. It was a completely bogus lie. That data was based specifically on SWIFT transactions. I'm not going to go into all the details. If you don't know what SWIFT system is, then forget about it. It's basically like a credit card processing system in a way, except it's for currencies being processed between nation and nation. And SWIFT is almost exclusively U.S. dollar. It's controlled by the IMF and the U.S. dollar, okay? So yes, of course, SWIFT transactions are being used by the U.S., U.S. dollars being used. And the reason why maybe it's increasing is because guess what? We kicked Russia off. China's not using it. And Iran's not. A lot of countries now aren't using it. And even India. Even India is not using it. A lot of countries aren't using it anymore because they're using crypto and they're using other currencies, local, regional currencies, to do their transactions and buy oil. So it's like, oh, the dollar's used more and more. No, it's because everyone left SWIFT. And so the only thing left is the U.S. dollar. So if it's by basing on that, it looks like the dollar's doing good, but it's not when you base it on the entire all transactions cumulatively, which I saw some numbers on that several weeks back. It does show that in fact the dollar is just it's in a continual downward trend when in relation to nations using it or not. So anyways, I thought that because I saw a lot of people talking about that, and in the data is it's not incorrect. It's just not the whole data. So anyways, but what I was getting at is that with all that being said, the stuff going on in the world, stuff going on here domestically, and the economy, now isn't just the best time to start getting ready and to continue stocking up. It may be the only time you can. A year from now, a can of green beans that might cost you $1.50 to $3 a can right now, it might be $10, $20 a can, and you can't stock up at that price. So I highly suggest you really push yourself hard right now. I'm not telling you to go into debt. I don't want you mortgaging your home and putting stuff on credit cards or anything like that. But making it a higher priority and trimming the fat at other places in your life and in your home. And I know everyone's going to say, oh, I don't have anything left. Well, maybe you do. Maybe there's some online services or eating out or, little extras that you do. But even if you stopped doing them for a month and you took that money and put it towards preps, would that change? How would it change? How would it affect everything? I think all of us can do at least a little bit in that area because we must be increasing our preps and increasing our training and our knowledge and our self-sufficient capabilities, because the system is purposefully being destroyed so it can be replaced by a new and even worse system. Okay, that's the whole everything all in one big nutshell. So get ready and get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.